second whispered, come true and whispered. Did I whisper the first one? I can't remember. Movie review here today. I don't own this movie. I don't even know if this movie's on like DVD or Blu-ray. I originally watched it on Amazon Prime, and actually watched it again recently on Amazon Prime, but I think it was also on the POVR channel as well, which apparently Amazon either bought or something, because they have movies from it on there as well. But this movie was not originally on there. But the movie is called Leaving DC. So it begins with this guy Mark Klein, I believe his full name is, and it shows him. It's at night, and he's driving kind of on a dirt road in the woods, and he's talking. He's got the camera on, and he is going to his new house. He has moved. It's called Leaving DC because he's moving from Washington DC, and he's living in he's going to move to a house in the woods in West Virginia, off like rural Route 2 or something he calls it. I don't know. So it's him driving there, and the reason he's kind of making these videos. Now I kind of like a movie that does this, where it's kind of explained why the person is filming stuff, and he's not filming stuff constantly, which is nice. I'll get into that in a minute. But some of these found footage movies, or not even like found footage, not that, or just movies where the guy's using a camera or whatever, handheld cameras or whatever, security footage or whatever. There's points where it's like it makes no sense why the person's still filming, So I like when a movie is showing you, why it's giving you a good reason why the person is filming. But he moves out there. He wants to get away from the hustle and bustle, the noise of everything of DC, right? Now, he's in an OCD group in back in Washington, so that's the reason he's doing these updates for the group he's in. And I guess meets like every Thursday and does I don't know what they do. Stuff involving their OCD, but so anyway, he goes there, middle of nowhere, nice house in the woods. So he updates him with that, and then he mentions the movers are coming. Movers coming. Does another update of like 4 days later. Once again, he's not filming anything, which I like. So there'll be little gaps, especially in the beginning. There are gaps of days where nothing's been filmed, and he keeps updating the people in his group. So that's the main hook, at least at first, of him filming this stuff. He's there a few nights. I think the first night or one of the first nights. He's like, "Oh, I heard what sounded like a weird screeching sound," and he's looking up animal noises and stuff. He can't find it. Eventually, he thinks it's a fox. All right. On to the next. I think the next night I'm pretty sure it's the next night he hears like knocking outside on like the tree. Something's hitting a tree outside. So this is something I found cool too, that he does. You hear knocking on the tree, so he puts his little Sony thing, like he can work from home too. I forget what he does. He says he like writes technical papers on I don't know what, but he's capable of working from out here. I think he said he's like 4 hours from DC now. So anyway, he hears this noise, so he's like curious of what it was. Is there people outside doing noise, whatever? So he takes this little, he's got like a recorder, like a Sony recorder, because he records interviews with or whatever. He puts it out on the windowsill and he films stuff, and it's kind of cool. It's a very slow moving movie. It's not long, but goes over the recording, and at one point, it's just an owl. There's little bumps in the recording, spikes of sound, and he hears the knocking again. It gets closer, it gets further away. Now he's thinking, what if there's like a drunk person out in the woods at night smacking a tree, So he's getting a little curious, concerned, whatever. And then I think it's maybe like one of the next nights, a friend from the group comes and visits him and stays overnight, and she wants to hear the sound. So they wake up at night. He pops the camera on her for whatever, and you hear the smacking against a tree. It's louder, and she starts bugging out. She leaves in the morning. And apparently this guy liked her, and then then there's a cool part. There'll be spoilers here as well, but so if you don't want to listen to like maybe the next 2-3 minutes, don't. It's not really a spoiler, but it's not. It's like stuff he hears, and it's really cool. Because he keeps hearing the knocking, and then he finds like a locket outside on a tree. Calls the sheriff. The sheriff's like, oh, it's probably drunks or something. Whatever. And then there's a night he hears a flute playing outside. He keeps making these windowsill recordings. So he's waking up and he's going over this stuff. It's a flute. Somebody playing a flute outside, his window. Oh wait, and there's another part where he hikes through the woods. He finds a cat skull in a tree with like, I forget what the initials are, B, D or something like that. But anyway, there's this cool part where he still thinks it's people fucking with him. He buys a game camera, gets put up, it gets taken off the tree, and you like hear it because he puts his window still recording out still, and you hear like psh, psh, like chopping and then ripping of the strap. So he buys another one, puts it all the way up in the tree, so he thinks these people can't get to it. But anyway, I'll get to that in a minute as well. But there's this cool one where it's the flute one night. Flute plays. I don't know if it's next night or whatever, but he plays it again. And he does another recording, and he like loops the previous night's recording and the night. Each night's recording. So it sounds, it's the flute again. But if you like overlap them, it's like playing the continuation of the song at the exact second it stopped, like the night before. So it continued like immediately over 2 nights in the same exact spot where it should have. It's cool, and he starts kind of bugging out like this. How would they even be able to do that, And he finds his game camera. You see, he's looking at the game camera pictures on the memory card, and all of a sudden, like someone took the camera that was perched high up and like brought it out in the woods to where the cat skull is and stuff. And this is all happening in like fractions of seconds, so like no person would be able to do this. And the movie's not necessarily overly creepy. It's interesting is what it is, and it's a good watch. Like eventually things don't get worse. It's just he's getting frustrated, and he like writes to a group online saying, he shows his proof and stuff from his recordings and pictures. He's trying to find out something paranormal, but he doesn't want to believe if it is, that it is. And a woman eventually writes back and is like, oh yeah, well, she wants to hear the story. The story was there was a guy who lived with his schizophrenic daughter at that house. The guy killed himself, hanged himself from a tree. And the daughter like went into the woods, never returned. This was years prior. So she's dead. She's got to be dead at this point. So he says this to the person, and this woman responds saying, oh, it's just a, spirit who wants your adoration or whatever, and all this stuff. And he's like, really, I need to just stop, harassing her, even though it's the opposite. This keeps going on and whatnot. But the acting's good. The guy, it's just one guy, and then the woman shows up briefly, and she's there for like 5 minutes, maybe total of the movie. But the guy's acting's good. I think he's the director too. I guess the writer, and I assume this is his actual home, so it's all shot in there. But he does a good job of not like, he's not over the top with it or anything. He's real logical. He's trying to be logical and stuff. The acting's good. Eventually, eventually the woman who came to stay with him, that like they thought they were in, they were into each other. She's like hooking up with another person in the group. He gets pissed, sends her a private message. On the last night, he ends up getting a security system. Oh yeah, he gets a security system because the one game camera is taking pictures in his house, and he bugs out. So he gets that installed, and it's good. It's not overly creepy at all, and it has the Blair Witch vibe of not showing you anything really at all. I think the game camera, there's a part where the game camera picture shows him a shadowy type figure quickly moving across in 3 shots. But there's nothing, you don't see much. It's just, I really like this kind of movies, and it's well done. I think he did some new cool things, like with the, using the recordings on the windowsill and picking up sounds and stuff. And like I said, he has a reason to be recording this stuff. He's not just recording it, recording constantly for no reason. He's not even recording constantly anyway. He's only really recording to update his group. And he does the windowsill recordings overnight, so that's not videotaped. Although eventually, actually, there's a part where he's listening. He's like, okay, the flute playing, I think it was, happened at like 3:10 in the morning, so he's up to hear it, but his phone rings in his house at that exact time. He bugs out. But it was cool. I mean, the ending isn't bad, really. I won't spoil that. It's not like it's anything crazy, but maybe that could have been a little different. But just overall, I would check it out if you're into those kind of movies, because it is a little bit different. One guy's acting is good. It just does interesting stuff, and it's not overly long, which is nice. There's no dragging or anything, even though it's a slow moving movie, it doesn't drag. I enjoyed it quite a bit, actually. That's why I wanted to kind of talk about it, review it, or whatever. I would probably give it like a solid 8 out of 10. It's just good, and it's kind of different for that genre. But I really enjoyed it. Like I said, the acting's solid from the one guy. The way he did some new and interesting things in that genre, which is cool. And he's not over the top or anything with what's going on. I really actually enjoyed it. I would definitely check it out if you haven't. It's on Amazon Prime and you're into those kind of movies. But it was cool. I might have liked to have seen him maybe spend some more time going into the woods. He takes a hike one day early before like anything really is going on. Or he's like concerning himself with it, I guess, at first. I would have maybe have liked to seen something like that, but that's not a big deal. But definitely overall, it's a really solid movie in that genre. I would definitely check it out if you're into it. But it's called Leaving DC. It's on Amazon Prime. It might be on POV Horror if anybody's subscribed to that. But yeah, I might do my next review might be a Hell House LLC, which is really another good one. I watched them both around the same time a few years ago. But yeah, it's another movie review. And thanks everyone for checking us out.